This is Irontrader, and it is Thursday morning. So I want to take a look here at Bitcoin, at gold, silver, crude oil, and natural gas. But first of all, we're going to take a look here at OneStream. Stock symbol is OS. This video is for information purposes only, not a recommendation to buy, selling stock, about ETF. Please like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Here we have OneStream, OS. All right, so we have a little question that was in the old posted on the chat room there. So we're going to take a look here at OS. Now, what we have here is we're trying to hold this bottom. This is going to be very, very key, this 18.99 level. Now, you can see here how it rallied up here, went above that 8-day, but the next day, this big red candle came right on down, and yesterday we had this top retail. It couldn't get through that key 8 SMA here on a closing basis. That's the key on a closing basis. Now, what we're watching on the upside, we're watching this 2015 level. That's going to be very, very key, okay? Now, if we can get through that, then we're going to be looking at 2077 level. Then we'll come up top of that candle. You're looking at 2133. And then we're going to be looking at the top of there at 2160 level, okay? Now, if we keep right on rolling, you have 2244, and then we want to bring this candle right across at that 2264 level, okay? And then what we do is we can follow the candles all up, but we'll be looking at that 2355. We come up to the top of there at 2418, and then we'll be looking for the 100-day at 2442 level. We have the 50-day right above that, 2487, and then 2614. Now, you can see how the 8-day or 50-day was rolling over, 21-day and the 8-day. All right, so that's going to provide very, very strong resistant levels. Now, on the RSI, we got to an over sold condition, rallied right on up here, but now we're just basically we're pulling down. Same with the MACD, but we're floating on the bottom. The key to the downside is going to be right here. Is going to be this 1899. Now you can see right here yesterday, we put in this bottoming tail. Okay, so that's always a good sign. However, we are below that 8 SMA. So on the downside, you want to watch that 1899 level. Okay, and then what? No, next level is going to be right there. Is going to be that 1892, and then we have that 1845. But if we look at this chart, okay, we see the bottom there at that 1899, and then we just go to the bottom there at 1892. See, we have a double bottom situation. All right. So again, this has to play out. But again, if we start losing, okay, this key price channel, which is that 1899, then you hit that 1892, you come down to that 1845 level. Then we start ratcheting these candles, 1796 level. We have 1769, 1738, and then we have your big retest down there at 1669 level. Now you can see here where this isn't really been around that long. This chart just started. So obviously, if you lose that 1669, then you start hitting 15s, you go down to the 12s, and you might even venture down in the 10 mark, okay? But again, you know, that's only if we're going to be losing that key 1899 level. So you have to be just a little bit careful with this. Now, again, what you're trading is that 1899 on the bottom, but watch that 8-day on the top. If we get back above that key level at 2015, then we can start heading right for that 21-day. But we have that downslide of these simple moving averages. So when this market opens, this is a daily chart, this 21-day is going to be lower, okay? But you can see how the 8-day is starting to flatten out. So that might be a very good sign. The key is you have to close above it in order to go higher, okay? But we have this sideways actions, consolidation. So when we came on down yesterday, we only went down to 1922. We did not hit that 1899. So this could be another double bottom situation just in this area. All right. Okay. So don't get too excited unless you close below that 1899. Then we can just follow the candles down until we have that retest of 1669. But right now we just have sideways action. So watch that 8-day. We get above it. We follow the candles up until we look for that 21 SMA. Okay, let's take a look here now at Bitcoin. Here we have Bitcoin daily chart. Now you can see just a beautiful chart here. We had this inverse head and shoulders pattern. We did a little flip ski. We went 125.5, came out to 125.2, pretty close. However, we had this double top. See, we're rallied all the way up here, 123.615 level. We made a higher high, but you notice that it couldn't hold it. And then we had that nice series of sell down, held the 50-day, and we're still perching right on this 50-day. Now, the couple things that you really want to watch here is we have this pole coming down and a couple candles. So we don't want this to turn into a bear flag. Right now, we're not a bear flag, but we just don't want that to turn into a bear flag. So what we're really watching here on the downside is 113.718. That's that 50-day. That's going to be very, very key on a closing basis. All right. Then what we do is we just come right to the bottom of this candle, which we just looked at that price channel, is 112.485 level. Okay, so that's what you're looking for. Then we're going to be looking for the top of this candle. Okay, that 111.220, and then we'll look to the top of him, 110.265, and then we have 109.685, and then we come to the bottom of this candle. Okay, you're looking at 108.625 level. We'll come down to the bottom there, 107.840. And then we'll come to the bottom of that candle, 107.680. Then we'll be looking for that 100 SMA. So let's just see how this all shakes up. But I never like it when you have this pole situation and you have these couple of little candles that could be a bear flag developing. Now, another thing I don't like about this is see how this 8-day, 117.349, okay? And then we have 117.225. So the 8 days right now is above the 21-day. But if that curls back over, that's going to provide very, very strong resistance on the upside. Okay, so just always remember that. Now, we had this negative divergence going on the RSI, sold right on down, but you're sitting at 44. That's not overbought or oversold. It's the same way with the MACD. The green is below your red. It just shows that the momentum is basically to the downside. Now, on the upside, obviously, we want to watch yesterday's high, 114.640. We want to watch today's high, 115.530 level. Okay, that's going to do it. Then we'll be watching right to the bottom of that candle at that 116. 295, and then we're going to come right up here to this 117 level at 225. That's your 21-day. Then we have your 8-day right above that at 17,349. Obviously, we get above that, then we're going to be looking for this target right here at that 118,350, and then we'll come on top of there at 119,810 level. Then I say we can just venture right on up, but let's not worry about that because we have a very, very strong resistance. It's going to take something big catalyst to get through that 21-day and that 8 simple moving average. But just pay attention to this possible bear flag that's developing, which could send us all the way down to that 100-day very, very easy. Okay, let's take a look here now at gold and silver. Here we have gold and silver. Now you can see it's really doing a whole lot of nothing. It's like watching paint dry, okay? We just have this sideways action. But when you get this sideways action, you build what they call momentum like we had here on silver. See, we had this sideways action, just chop city, and then she just blasted right on off, okay? So always remember when you get sideways action, it can blast off, but it can go in both directions. So always remember that too. Now, yesterday we had a pretty nice rally, but you notice you couldn't get through these key levels here. This 21-day and that 8-day just kind of stopped it dead the same way we're doing it here, okay? So what we're watching today on the upside is we'll watch that 50-day, 33.75. Then we have that 8-day, okay, 33.83. Then we have your 21-day at 33.90. So everything is jammed up right here. And this is looking very, very strong as a resistant level. We get above it, we can come to the top there at 34.03. We can come there at 34.23, and then we can venture right on up to 34.45, and then we have 34.66, 34.83, and then 35.34 is your big retest. But right now, we just have sideways action like birds on a wire, just basically sitting there. So what we're looking on the downside is we're watching yesterday's low. That's going to be very key. 33.53. We lose that. You're going to come down to the 21-day or 100-day, and then we have that retest at 3,300, which is basically just the bottom of that candle. But right now, for me, there's really nothing until we can close above that 50-day, the 8-day, and the 21-day. We can get above that and close above. Then I would take the trade into GLD to take it higher. Other than that, this is just like watching paint dry. Okay? Now, we look at here at 47, that's not overbought or oversold. The green is below your red. It's pretty much the same thing. You have momentum, but it's like to the downside. But remember, when you have these topping tails, I'll just look at for you in the past here. So we had that topping tail, and you have this topping tail. That's always a tell. That tells you that, for right now, that upside is pretty much done, and you can have consolidation until you get some kind of a catalyst to take it higher. Now, silver is the same way. You can see here how you have almost like an arc. It's just rounding right on off. And this 8-day and 21-day is providing very strong resistance. Okay, 37.93, 37.94. Very, very strong. Doesn't seem to want to get through that. If we can, we come with the candles. Okay, you're looking at 38.20. come on top of there, 38.34, and then we can venture all the way up here to this 38.78, and then here's the key, is this 38.87 level. But right here, you can see here how many times it hit. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you bring it out 5, 6. See, that's very, very, very strong resistance it's going to be. But now you can see here how you have like a rounded situation where it's coming right on down. Now the key is on the downside is holding this 50-day. If we lose that 50-day, then we're going to come to the bottom of that candle, 37.24, and then your next support is 36.96 level, okay? But you got to lose that 50-day to do that. If you do, the next would be right there at 36.76, 36.40, and then we have your retest down here at that 36.28. So right now, what you really want to watch is that 50-day on the downside. Very, very crucial. And then we want to watch that 8-day and that 21-day on the upside. So this is what you're basically trading. For me, I have no trade. I haven't had no trade in here because we're not closing above those key levels. If you close above, then you can take the trade until we get to that 38.87, and then we can take the trade till you get to the 39.91. But that's not what we have. Okay, so that's why I always say trade what's in front of you, not what you want. We have this rounded top, which means a lot of times that this could come and retest that 36.28 level. Now we're only sitting at 48. That is not overbought or oversold. The green below your red. This is looking, obviously, to the downside. We have a high, lower high, lower high, and lower high situation, right? So just be a little bit cautious on this, unless you're trading it in both directions. All right, let's take a look here now at crude oil. Here we have crude oil. Now my short is on SCO is off, and I am looking for UCO for trades. Okay, so that's where I stand right now. Okay, so we had this, we were stair-stepping all the way on down, and it looks like we possibly found a bottom for right now at 61.45 level. Okay, now what we're watching on the downside is we're watching this 8-day. This is going to be very, very key. 62.95. And then we can come up to the top of that level. You look at 62.68, and then we look to yesterday's low, 61.83. But really, the 61.45, that is everything. Okay, so we lose that, come right to the bottom there, 61.06, 60.55, and then we have that retest of 59.74. Just bring that price channel right across. That's going to be very, very strong resistance because we've hit it many, many a times. Now, on the upside, what we're watching is the top of this candle, 64.15 level, and then we're looking at this 100-day 64.46, and then we have 64.99, 66.61, and then we have your 200-day at 67.56, and then you could roll all the way up to your 70.51 level. Okay, but we got to see how this all shakes out. Now, just because we're green and we're hanging above that 8-day, that doesn't mean that's how we have to close, though, too. See, this was a little bit above it. Okay, next day, boom, and all the way back down again. Okay, so always just patience. This is very early in the morning here. It's only 7:16. Okay, so just be very, very patient, very, very cautious here with the crude. And always remember, one day does not make a market. All right, so let's just see how this all shakes out. So for today, watch that 8-day on the downside. If not, you're going to retest that 61.45 level. We lose that, then we'll be looking right down there to the bottom, 59.74. Upside, we'll be looking for this a 64 area coming right across. So this is what we're looking for. And then we're looking for that 100-day at 64.46. But we're going to see what the reaction is once you get there, if you get there, kind of a situation. All right. Now, for me, I just love this 24-hour trading situation. SCO, you can trade 24 hours. UCO, you can trade 24 hours. So it's really, really good. So now I leave my computers on all night. All I got to do is just get up in the middle of the night or whenever I want to do, just touch the computer. All the screens come right back up, and it's just absolutely awesome. So that's what I say. I got rid of that SCO. I got stopped out of there yesterday at 17.45. And I was all done with that SCO. So now I'm just going to be waiting here just to see if UCO, if the long can take a trade up to the upside. If it can't, then I can always jump right back into the SCO very, very easily. Okay, so that's what I'm kind of looking at. It's a long and short play for me on the crude oil. Now, 43, we never got down to an oversold condition, but you're sitting at 43. That's kind of like neutral. The same way the green is below the red. But again, we still are in a downtrending situation. So just remember that. And you have a lot of resistance above 100, 21-day, 50-day, and 200-day. But let's see how this all shakes out with this hurricane season. Remember, till about the first week of October. All right, let's take a look here now at natural gas. Here we have natural gas. Now, I don't hold this overnight. I just trade this. Now, we are in a total downtrend, which obviously anybody can see. Okay, so let me just big that up a little bit there. Okay, here we go. Now, you can see how strong the 8-day is. Okay, it's just like a brick wall. But eventually, that'll cave. Okay, so eventually, not today, maybe tomorrow, but eventually it will. Okay, so this is what we're looking at is this 8-day on the upside, 2.82. We get above it, we're going to come right up to the top of that candle. Okay, you're looking at 2.91 roughly, and then we have that 21-day at 2.96. Then we have to see what the reaction is once it gets there. Does this stop, come right back down again, or does it blast through? Now, if it starts blasting through level, then we can take it right on top of that candle. You're looking at 310. And then we have a 315 level. We have 318 level. But what we're really looking for is be that 50-day at 328, 339, and then 349 on your 200 SMA. But you have a downtrend situation. So let's see how that all shakes out. Now, on the downside, basically, this is everything. It's going to be right there is that 2.72. Okay, that's a really low. Now, you can see how it's stair stepping down, just like what we had with crude oil. Okay, so we're watching that 272. If that is lost, left of the chart, 268. Okay, come right down there, 264, right there, 257, and then we have 251, and then we just work these candles all the way down, 244 level. Okay, we have 237, and then we can come down here to your 226, and then retest down there at 221. Okay, but right now, let's just see how this all shakes out. Now, the call for a very, very hard winter, very hard, cold, and snowy winter. So it's going to be a matter of time before natural gas will reverse. Okay, so it always does. I mean, I'm trading this for a couple of decades now, and it'll always reverse. It looks like it's nasty right now, but once it starts rolling, it can turn up in a hurry. Now, never got to a oversold condition. We're just kind of riding on the bottom. Same way to green and red. So you got to be real careful here, because if this does crack that 2.72, just watch on the charts here. We can come down to that 250 area very, very quickly. Okay. On the upside, all we want to do is just watch that 8-day. That's going to be very, very key. If you get above it, then we'd be looking pretty much right for that 21-day. That's going to be key. Okay, that's what I got for you. I'll be back here midday trading. We'll take a look at some stocks. And I see NVIDIA's up there a little bit there today. Now, remember, the earnings are coming out on the 27th. Walmart came out. They had, I thought, pretty good numbers. The stock is down a little bit, but we got to see how that all going to shake out. All right, trade what's in front of you, not what you want.